This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points is sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
We are ready to rock in Houston. Touchdown, Houston!
Are you kidding? What a catch! Oh, baby!
Texans Extra Points time is right now. My name's Drew Dougherty. I'm your host, and we've got a fun show for you today. We've got players to watch, keys to the game, and we've got the guy to my left, the quarterback, Clint Stoerner, joining us. We're glad you're with us. You played in the league back in the early part of the century. That sounds so old saying that,
but time flies, baby.
You and I were in our 40s, so we can say that type of thing. But you're on the radio nowadays, Sports Radio 610. We're going to solve some problems in just a little bit. But first, we start with some news of the week in Texans land. It's all part of Quick Hits. And is he in or is he out? Well, that's been the question for the last month or so about Tyrod Taylor and his hamstring. And we got the latest later in the week from the Texans.
Anytime you lose your starting quarterback, it becomes a setback. He's a starting quarterback for a reason, and you lost our leader. We lost a guy that this football team believed in. He was actually doing his job to that point of what we expect our quarterback to do. And, hopefully having him back, we can continue that moving forward.
The trade deadline was Tuesday, and the Texans had made a couple of deals leading up to it. They dealt Mark Ingram away to the Saints and Charles Omenihu to the 49ers. But the big question on many people's minds was, where would Deshaun Watson land? He's staying with the Texans. He remains on the roster, does not practice, but General Manager Nick Caserio talked a little bit about that situation.
With Deshaun, including other players, I would say throughout the league, there was various levels of discussions specific to him and then specific to some other players as well. In the end, there was no trade that came to fruition. So I don't really have any comment about some of the logistics and the mechanics about what happened, what hasn't happened, what did happen.
And like we mentioned earlier, Charles Omenihu dealt to the 49ers for a late-round draft pick in a few years, and Caserio explained what happened there.
Charles was a good player for this team. He's done a lot of good things. In the end, we felt like this made the most sense for our team and for him to get a good opportunity, go to a good organization, a lot of good people.
The Dolphins are on tap noon Central on Sunday in Miami, and this is a 1-7 ball club facing another 1-7 ball club, and with a quarterback who's a lefty and presents his challenges.
I think he has an accurate arm. I still think he's trying to find his groove into the NFL. So they're taking care of him a lot about with the short passes, RPOs, that type of thing. He is a lefty, which is a little bit, so he's one of a few lefties in the league, so that's a little bit different as far as quick game goes with tendencies in which direction he likes to go to. But he's a solid guy, man. He's talented. He was a first-round pick for a reason.
So at long last, Tyrod Taylor is the starter, and the last time he started a game for the Texans, they were 1-0. They went up to Cleveland. He played magnificently in the first half, and then the hamstring happened. What does his return to the team do, not just for the offense, but for the mindset of this team as a whole, do you think?
Well, when you talk about mindset, I think it's the lift that David Culley's talked about. We've heard him for 2 weeks now talk about needing a lift, and Tyrod Taylor could possibly be that lift when he is healthy. I think that's spot on. I do think a guy like Tyrod Taylor brings a certain level of energy, a certain level of hope to a 1-7 football team. That shot of energy mid-season that you need after you get this kind of start. And so I agree with David Culley that Tyrod Taylor can definitely be that. I think when you look on the offensive side of the football in particular, there's a stabilizing factor there when you have a veteran quarterback versus a rookie quarterback. As mature as Davis Mills may seem, mentally, physically, emotionally, in a sense of being able to handle all the adversity, and he's dealt with a lot of it. It's completely different when it's your first time, as it is for Davis Mills, than when you're a veteran like Tyrod Taylor, who is a journeyman quarterback. He's been through this kind of adversity time and time again. So you talk about whether it's that shot in the arm, that energy, that lift, or the stabilizing factor that Tyrod brings to this team. I think it's big either way. Either side of the coin, I think it's big.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as this. I mean, you and I, we've done stuff on air, whether it's radio or TV, for a decade now, basically, in more in some cases. we're a lot better than the first 2 months of what we the lot better when we were, as I mumble through all this. We're a lot better than we were in those first 2 months on the job. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's the same sort of principle, basically. On the field, what did you see in those first 3 halves of football from Taylor that might be different from what we're going to see on Sunday, perhaps?
Well, I think he knows what defenses are trying to do versus his offensive looks or his offensive formations. Why? Because he's seen it for 10, 11 years, right? And so just knowing that gives him a better sense of where to go with the football. Is this a time when I can hold the football, or is this a time when I need to get the football out? So the big thing about Tyrod Taylor is he makes the 10 guys around him better. He makes the 10 guys around him, their job significantly less difficult. I don't want to say easy because it's never easy, but he makes their job less difficult. So whether we're talking about the center, whoever that may be this week, or the left tackle, or the tight end or the wide receiver, he allows them a little bit more of a margin of error, if you will, when he's at the quarterback position. If they blitz 10 times, 8 of them, he's going to get it out. You got to fight for your life for 2 of them.
Sure.
Where Davis Mills may be a 50-50 guy. So I think that's the biggest thing that Tyrod brings to the table as you compare him to a rookie. Obviously, the big-time throws where you're able to anticipate, you're able to understand spacing and understand timing to a whole different degree. All those things that a veteran quarterback does well, Tyrod Taylor does well also. So I don't think there's no one particular part where he brings something special to the table. I think there's several, but the biggest one is the guys around him. Their job is significantly less difficult when a veteran's taking snaps.
Yeah, bottom line, it's going to be good to have Tyrod Taylor back in the flow for the offense. All right, speaking of flow, one guy who's got great flow is John Harris. And every single week he does the Telestrator, breaking down some X's and O's for us. And this is the latest version.
Welcome to Texas Telestrator, presented by BMW. I am your host, John Harris, and it's time to look at rookie to rookie for a touchdown against the LA Rams and how the Texans pull this off. This is a really nice scheme down inside the low red zone. So let's go to the surface, presented by Microsoft, and take a look here. The Texans come out 11 personnel, 1 tight end, Brevin Jordan, and 1 David Johnson. Now let me rewind this a little bit. Go back a little bit here. Got a little ahead of myself here. So the Texans come out in a 3-by-1. And so the Rams are trying to get set up to this, and then Brevin's going to motion over here to set up a 2-by-2. 2 receivers, running back set to this side. Now, the key on this is these 2 guys. They're going to be locked in, unfortunately for the Rams, they're going to be locked in on David Johnson, and their mistake is going to lead to Brevin's touchdown. They're going to man up here and man up over here. And then they're going to play a zone with these guys on the inside. So they're going to man everybody, man everywhere he goes, called Meg coverage on the outside guys. And then these guys are going to play a zone coverage with him in the middle, zone here, and there's not that much room. It's condensed. So he'll go here, he'll here. And you just got to find one of those open zones and hope that they screwed up. Well, they do. And here's why. So Brevin motions across. He's going to stretch right here. David is going to come out here and have an option route to go there or there. And what that does is, because that option route, watch these 2 guys. They've got eyes here, and they freeze. See how he steps out here? He goes to Johnson, and what that does is puts a big stretch on that guy in the middle, and Davis Mills hits him. So let's rewind it. Take a look here. Davis is reading these guys. As soon as he steps out here, he's in the middle of the field, and that guy doesn't drop, he knows exactly where to go with this ball. You see Brevin right there. Davis has already delivered the ball. Touchdown, safety can't get there. Excellent concept, playing on some high-low reads, some undisciplined by the outside guy. Get you a touchdown for Brevin Jordan. Nice job by the Texans all around on this play.
Second and 5 at the Dolphin 15. Osweiler with a play fake, throws downfield, and it's intercepted. Justin Reed across the 25, breaks a tackle 20, and he's brought down at the 11-yard line.
That was Justin Reid when he was a rookie, and it was also the last time these two franchises met, Dolphins, Texans. It was a night game, a Thursday nighter, and he picked off Brock Osweiler. Clint Stoerner, you know about Brock Osweiler. We remember those days. That was 2016 when he was here. But let's talk about this Texans defense. Justin Reid, the secondary, they've been challenged all season long. No more Vernon Hargreaves. He was let go earlier in the week. Desmond King was inactive last week, so there's been lots of flux. And Bradley Roby was dealt before the season started. What needs to get jiggled there to kind of turn things around at the back end, you think?
Well, I think the best way to turn around the back end is for the front end to start getting some pressure and the front end to stop the run, and then you can do some things defensively on the back end. You can play soft, you can play bend, don't break if that defensive front is doing work. So I think the quickest way to help in the secondary is for that defensive front to get back to stopping the run and pressuring the passer the way that they were earlier in the season. There's no secret that's the strength of this defense, regardless of what moves have been made or will be made. The strength of this defense is up front, the front seven, and particularly the down four defensive linemen. And so getting those guys ramped back up and getting them making plays, I think will help the secondary. But, look, I think we're a training camp and 8 weeks into Lovie Smith's system. The first, 2 months of this season, I think that the defense has been very, very vanilla, which in today's game is difficult to overcome. When you're facing guys like Matthew Stafford and you've got some really good quarterbacks coming through here, it's difficult to overcome that. They're 2 months in. They mixed it up some last week with Matthew Stafford in town. I don't know if that was by design or if that's what they had to do because they were down Des King and some other players. But ultimately, they mixed it up, played a little bit more man. I think Lovie Smith has to mix up the coverages behind what has proven they can be a formidable front. Mix the coverages up, give Tua Tagovailoa different looks throughout the game, and I think that in itself will help whoever they put at the DB position, at the corner position. It'll help those guys maybe get some free pass breakups or maybe even a free interception, turnover here or there.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think before the season started, many folks thought, hey, the offensive line is going to be better, the defensive line is going to be better. Might not have happened on the former, but the latter is certainly the case, like you're talking about. I don't know that so many people were tagging Jonathan Grenard as being sort of the bright spot there. The other guys, they thought, hey, there's some veterans, you're going to mix it up. But Jonathan Grenard has been really impressive. He's already got more sacks than anybody did the season ago. He looks like his star is on the rise, so to speak, right?
Well, you talk about Jonathan Grenard. What he's done is really impressive. It's even more so impressive because he did it on limited time. He was splitting reps. There's a lot of rotation.
He missed 2 games.
He missed 2 games. And some of the games that he was there, teams got big leads, and so they were running the ball. They were being conservative offensively. And so imagine what this guy can do when the games are tight, or when the Texans have a lead and the other team has to throw the football and everybody knows it. Imagine what this guy's capable of doing. I love his body. I love his build. He's not one of the taller, bigger players. He's shorter and stockier, bigger player that's built right where he can get underneath the offensive tackle's pads. He can manhandle long arms where he can manhandle different pass protections. A guy that'd be difficult for a tight end or a running back to try to block in pass protection. So look, I've been high on Jonathan Grenard, but it's one thing to be high on a guy off what you saw in college or what you see in training camp.
Right.
It's another thing when he puts it on film in the NFL, and Jonathan Grenard has done that.
And he's doing that. He's putting it on film, just like you say. All right, you like trivia, Clint, and I know some of you out there like trivia as well. All right, 10th time. This is the 10th time the Texans and Dolphins are going to play each other. How many wins does Houston have in the other 9? We'll have that answer later on in Texans Extra Points.
Schaub under center, drops, pump fake, throws, left side of the end zone, caught, Andre Johnson, touchdown! Schaub to Andre Johnson for 6.
Schaub to Dre, put it away. That was a 16-13 game in 2011, Texans at Dolphins, and then that touchdown gave the Texans the 23-13 or 23-6. I can't remember, but they put it away, I promise. It was a nice Matt Schaub to Andre Johnson touchdown pass. We're glad you're back with us on Texans Extra Points. Got Clint Stoerner from Sports Radio 610 with us. Let's talk about these Dolphins. Let's talk about Tua. He's a left-handed quarterback. We heard a little bit about that from Justin Reid, but second year in, what's your appraisal of this guy? Because there's a lot going on around him. Is that part of his problem? Is it something else? Is it a combo of things? What do you see from him right now?
Well, I think anytime you see a quarterback struggle, it's not just the quarterback. The offensive coordinator comes in play, the scheme comes in play, the personnel around that quarterback comes in play. It's a very difficult position to evaluate because he's dependent on so many other people on game day, and which is what's on film. So the thing about Tua is I think the jury's still out of whether he'll be a top 10 draft pick. But from a performance standpoint, we know he's been that, and he's getting paid as if he were a top 10 draft pick. But will he perform up to that level? I think the jury's still out. A lot of things that we saw him do in college, he's yet to do consistently at the pro level. Now, again, that could be scheme, it could be supporting cast. I have no idea. I've watched a ton of film on Tua, and it's one of those things where it's just not clicking yet for this particular young quarterback. And you're gonna have the Dolphins are gonna have to be very, very patient with Tua if they hope to see the best of him. The jury's still out. I don't know if they're gonna get that or not. But we'll see if it happens before he is moved from Miami, or if he gets that shot in Miami and can develop.
It's bananas, and that's a whole other show that maybe we'll get into some other time. But he's got some guys to throw to.
Yeah.
You know, he's got Devontae Parker. He's got Jalen Waddle from here in Houston. What do you think of the weapons, quote unquote, that are around him?
Well, I think he's got weapons. There's no question about that. I think Mike Gesicki, the one that you didn't mention, is the one that really, I mean, as a former quarterback, I love the tight end that can move, that can stretch the field, that can help you in the run game. I think Gesicki is a guy that can do all of those things for the quarterback. So you talk about a quarterback's best friend. He's the one that I think, when you talk about Tua's performance and how well he plays on Sunday, I think it depends more on the tight end position than it does the wide receiver position. And so my eyes on Mike Gesicki. But yeah, he's got some weapons. He should be able to make some plays in the pass game. This year they have not been very good in the pass game or the run game on either side of the football. So again, things have yet to come together for Tua, at least a Tua-led Dolphins team. And I hope it doesn't happen this Sunday.
Yeah, and they've been without Will Fuller, the former Houston Texan. He's been banged up all season long, hasn't played much. All right, let's talk about players to watch. We got to get into that. You have a good one, and you have a good reason for it. Who's your Texan to watch against the Dolphins on Sunday?
It's Brandon Cooks for me. I think there's several reasons here, Drew, and one being I think we've seen enough from the Texans offense to understand they're not going to run the football very well. I mean, you can keep forcing the issue if you want to, but I'm at a point with this offense where I believe you're going to have to throw the football in order to run the football instead of vice versa, right? And I think Brandon Cooks is obviously going to be a big piece of that. This is a week where the Miami Dolphins are one of the worst defenses in the game. Whether you look at it from a run stopping ability or the ability to stop the pass, they're as bad as there is in the NFL. And so this is an opportunity for the Texans to really feed Brandon Cooks, get him to back coverage up, play soft, fear Brandon Cooks, and then maybe they can do something in that run game. So I think Brandon, obviously, we know what kind of player he is. We know what kind of, the fact that he's got to be a big part of this offense if they're going to score points, if they're going to convert third downs and move the football. But I think this week, given that Miami's not a very good defense, and hopefully at this point Tim Kelly's realized, hey, I got to throw this football to lighten the box up so that I can then run it instead of doing it the other way.
I like it. Let's look for Brandon Cooks. Okay, I'm going to go with Jacob Martin, the pass rusher, because Jonathan Grenard is the guy you all chose. That's your Texan to watch. We put it out there on Twitter earlier in the week, but I'm going with Jacob Martin because I do think while Grenard will get some attention and get his, Jacob Martin always seems to swoop in and get a sack. Seems like every 2 or 3 games he'll pop in and get one. I'm looking for some of that. You like that?
I like it. I love Jacob Martin. I mean, you talk about a guy that's got a chip on his shoulder that is a little bit undersized no matter what they say, but can play that defensive end position like he's a 250 or 260.
And they got a banged up offensive line.
Yeah, they got a banged up offensive line. I mean, again, this is a time offensively and defensively for the Texans to get things back on track. We heard Nick Caserio talk about half their games this year they've been competitive, half of them they haven't.
Yeah.
Right. This is an opponent where you should be competitive on both sides of the football. Guys like Jacob Martin have to show up if they're going to do that.
And you should be able to beat these guys. So, all right, competitiveness. We like it, but we want wins even more. All right, we've got to get into keys to a victory after this break. Stick with us. This is Texans Extra Points.
Texans Extra Points has been sponsored by BHP, by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by Cigna, together all the way.
We're back on Texans Extra Points. Texans Trivia. Earlier we asked you, the Texans and Dolphins have played 9 times. How many wins have the Texans picked up in that 9-game span? What do you got? You got a guess? 6 is close. It's actually 8. They've only lost one time to Miami. It was in Miami in a game in which there was a massive rainstorm and then the sun came out and it was miserably hot. Texans got
We can relate to that.
got blasted by Lamar. I think Lamar Miller still catching and running for touchdowns like he did in that game. All right, we got to get into Ticketmaster keys to a victory. What are the 2 things the Texans got to do to come away victoriously, come away with win number 2 in 2021?
Well, look, I think there's some big picture things that they have to do. Defensively, they have to stop the run, but I'm not going to be boring with that, right? Defensively, I think they have to have an answer for Mike Gesicki. Know where he's at, know where he's lined up, and dominate him. Whether that's in the run game, there's a defensive lineman, just getting in his face and getting physical with him, or if it's in the pass game with a safety getting in his grill and sticking to him like Velcro so that he can't be a factor in that play action game which they want to run. And be that quarterback's best friend. So I think defensively they got to have an answer for Mike Gesicki. And look, I think offensively, again, they got to be able to run the football. They got to get the ball to Brandon Cooks. But what they've got to do is they've got to make adjustments at halftime, Drew. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong offensively for the Texans, but one thing consistently is that like everything has just been zapped out of them in the second half offensively. Yeah. And that then makes it difficult for the defense to perform, right? This offense has to make adjustments at halftime, whatever they may be. Make adjustments, come out of the locker room, flip the field, get first down, score points in the second half, and you got a chance to win. They've been bad in that category. It's got to improve.
I like those 2. I'm going to go with these 2. Get some big plays. Give me 5 plays of 25 yards or more, because then you can start running the ball if you're getting that, in theory. And then on top of it, I hammer this just about every week, but with this team, it's totally true. You've got to go +2 or more in turnover differential. You got to, if you get 3 interceptions, you can only give the ball away 1 time, because this team, unless they're +2 or more, they lose. Whether it's even, whether it's +1, whether it's negative, they haven't won any games like that. All right, hey, good stuff as always. Appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you checking us out here on Texans Extra Points. We'll be back again next week, same time, same place. And we can't wait to see you then. Till then, go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.